Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the last meeting of January for the Rotary Club. Can you believe this is the last Thursday in the month already? I'm President Becky Greenwald. And you know, each time I like to start out with a little Becky buzz. And last week we talked quite a bit about Rotary being Vocational Service Month and one of the 5 avenues of service. So I'm going to quickly run over the other 4 avenues of service in Rotary, just so that you're aware of them. And a couple of them are going to warrant their own special time. But you know, our mission in Rotary International is to provide service to others, promote integrity, advance world understanding, goodwill, and peace through our fellowship, business, professional, and community leaders. And that is a lot. And so how do we accomplish all of that? And that's where these 5 avenues of Rotary service come into play. So the first avenue of service is service to the club, which is exactly what we do here every Thursday, and when we have special events and fun times to get together, to get to know one another as individuals and build our fellowship and camaraderie. And again, we work on so many important issues. It's really important to build those personal relationships. So that's what avenue number 1 is, club service. And then of course, the second avenue was the vocational service that we talked about last week, where we're putting our own skill set and our vocations to work to instill and encourage high ethical standards and follow the service above self model that we so are proud of serving. Third avenue of service is community service, and we've got such great activities with our community. We're gonna highlight that in and of itself. We've got so many long-standing year after year projects that we've contributed to and done across our community to make this a better place for all individuals. And we constantly are doing new and different one-off activities. So we'll be highlighting those many things that we perform here in the Des Moines area, and always are grateful to our community service committee who makes those things happen. So a special nod to community service folks. Fourth avenue of service, international service. And that's where we've got volunteers all over the world that work with other Rotarians on humanitarian work. And it's important because that helps us promote peace and understanding. We are always sponsoring projects in other countries and work with the international partners in their own communities and require them to have a Rotary Club so that there's good follow-up with projects and follow through. And just so you know, each time the dues come out, that $25 that's designated for the Rotary International Foundation goes towards the big global grants fund that allows all these projects to take place. And then the newest avenue of service is avenue number 5, and that is service to new generations, which is focusing on our youth. And so the whole idea of engaging youth and making sure that we connect Rotarians and Rotaractors. And sometimes you might hear those terms, you go, what is all this alphabet soup? So you'll hear us talking about RILA, and that's the Rotary Youth Leadership Awards. Those are an intensive leadership training experience for young people between the ages of 14 and 30. And that award really is emphasizing leadership and citizenship. And then Rotaract is the international program for young adults between the ages of 18 and 30. And we've also got Interact, which focuses on youth service for the youth between the ages of 12 and 18. So that's a quick snapshot of the 5 avenues of Rotary service. So next, I'm going to ask Bob Bedrell, who's actually our birthday person, is celebrating his birthday today. So happy birthday, Bob. Come forward, please. Bob's going to not only lead us in a moment of inspiration, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance and the 5-way test, and this is chose to celebrate his birthday with us, so we're happy to have you here.
Thank you, President Becky.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that. Before I go on to the main theme of my moment of inspiration, I just wanted to say I did Google in honor of our speaker today. And in 1950, a loaf of bread was 14 cents, a gallon of milk 82 cents. Average gallon of gas, 27 cents. And Steve, average cost of a car was $1,300 to $1,500. A can of tomato soup, 10 cents. And a house was $73.54 on average. So those of you in real estate, yes. What I want to do today is talk about reflections on a birthday. Today's my 74th birthday, and I'm very glad to spend part of my birthday with my Rotarian friends. A birthday is a day to celebrate an anniversary of another year of life. It is also a time to look back and reflect on the moments and passages of life we have experienced. These moments we have celebrated, achieved, mistakes, and the regrets. I celebrate my family, those no longer in my life physically, but always in my heart. I celebrate those that I love, my daughter Amy, granddaughters Maddie and Sam, my great-granddaughter Isla, my son-in-law Brian, and my sister Carol. I celebrate and love the dear friends I'm blessed to have in my life, whose friendships have and continue to impact my life in such a positive way. A birthday also presents an opportunity to look forward to the next chapter in life. How can we love more, learn more, give more, create more experiences, not only for ourselves, but also experiences that can touch the lives of others? To set new life objectives. To take the time to express gratitude, appreciation, and love every day if you can, for we all can. It can be a thank you, a recognition of a good friend, holding someone's hand because you care, listening into the voice of another with intention. I think of love and that it does not always need to be romantic. We have loved experiences, friendships dear to our heart, and other moments. I believe that if we expand our love in whatever manner that looks like we are doing so, we will receive more. The Vicious Conference I just attended, the theme was Ripple Effect. So as I and we move forward in our birthday year, those which we enjoy until our next birthday, let us all strive to lead a better and fulfilling life. As a result of our presence on this earth, we can create a ripple effect in the lives of others. Thank you. Now please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now the five-way test.
Is it true? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Is it fun?
Is it fun?
Let's greet our fellow Rotarians. Thank you, Richard.
Good to see you. I'm always Jordan.
Hey, Jordan, shake your hand. Good to see you. Hey, Steve. Good to see you. Yep. Hey, John. Can't promise you it'll be the hardest to get. Maybe I can't start in your table. Thanks for helping us. We'll see. Also,
Okay, well, settling back into our tables here, we have 5 guests that we get to greet today. I'm going to ask each guest to please stand up when I call your name and remain standing, and then we will applaud all 5 of you when we get to the end. So first of all, direct your eyes over here to our father's table today. Only Bedler is with Mid-American Energy, and she is the guest and daughter of past President Bruce Kelly. Jim Lewis is the son of John Lewis, and Jim works for the Vaughn Institute at the University of Iowa and is our guest of his dad, John, so welcome there. Matt Hill is the Chief Scouting Executive at Boy Scouts America. Matt's a former member. We're glad to have you back. Good to see you. And also, Rich Mueller up here is retired as Vice President and Project Manager for the Pepper Constructions, and which is a large general contractor in Chicago, and he's the guest of Steve Beckley. And Tom Miller, former Attorney General for the state of Iowa, and also longest Attorney General in the history of the United States, I might add. And he is here as the guest of David Oman. Welcome to all of our guests. And now it's tumbler time. See those little cups on your table? If you don't have a $sign on your name badge, please consider donating $5 to the cup. And hey, you can always throw some cash in there even if you do have a $sign, because all of that money goes to help fund our Rotary Club of Des Moines Foundation, which is how we're able to fund the wonderful service projects that we perform every year. And as always, thank you for your continued support. Now, where in the world is Club number 27? Well, guess what? It was me last week at the City Council meeting, or last Monday. And Mayor Connie Bozen proclaimed January as Human Trafficking and Awareness Month in Des Moines. And there's a very special thanks I want to give to Rotary Club of Des Moines member Carl Schilling for arranging this proclamation and for his many years of service working towards preventing and curbing human trafficking in all its forms. It was my honor to represent the Rotary Club of Des Moines at this event, and also all Rotarians in the greater Des Moines area at the council meeting on Monday. And I was joined with the proclamation by two members of the Iowa Network Against Human Trafficking and Slavery, and that was Linda Harrell and John Chester. So again, that's a statewide organization that's focused on ending all forms of human trafficking, and very proud that our club is involved in helping stem that scourge that we have. So you can always check out where in the world is Club 27. Stick with Kitty. Whatever you're doing, fun things, serious things, when you're heading out, take it along with you, take a photo and let us know, because we want to go with you. And now I want to remind you to please support our February 23rd events that supports the End of Polio Now campaign with the Iowa Wolves. If you want to support the cause but cannot attend the basketball game itself, those tickets would be given to a youth group, but you would sign up on the table using the form that's in front of you. If you would like to go to the game, you need to use the QR code and buy your tickets there, and we'll be sure that when you do that, you check out and you give the Rotary Club of Des Moines noon designation, so our club gets credit for your donation there. And we'll all be sitting together in a big group. So Friday, February 23rd. And now our member at large, Jason Stravesa, was going to introduce our guest speaker. So Jason, come on up. Jason is our board member.
I knew I gained a little weight, not just large.
Sorry.
Our guest speaker today is Matt Sexton with Google, and before I talk a little bit about him, I imagine, based on what all of my iPhone-owning friends say, none of you will hear this that own iPhones. You'll just hear Charlie Brown's teacher, right? Because iMessage, it doesn't work. You won't know what it is. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, it didn't hit. Matt serves as Google's public affairs manager, covering the company's data center communities across the Midwest. In this role, Matt's focused on external affairs, strategic partnerships, and executing impact programming to build meaningful connections between Google and the communities in which they operate. Before joining Google, Matt led community development efforts at Meta, formerly known as Facebook, across 10 states, and previously held roles supporting state and federal policymakers for the state of Iowa, including Congressman Tom Latham and U.S. Senator Joni Ernst. Matt's a graduate of Ankeny High School and the University of Northern Iowa, go Drake Bulldogs, and resides in Altoona with his wife, Eden. They play this weekend. With his wife, Eden, a 7th grade language arts teacher at Southeast Polk Junior High. One other side note, please take a note of Matt's shoes. A lot of you know I'm a sneaker guy, and he has some Google specific shoes on today. Without further ado, let me welcome Matt Sexton.
Thank you very much. I'm not a sneakerhead. I have these in place of personality like we're talking about. So appreciate the chance to be here today. Like Jason said, my name's Matt. I'm a lifelong Iowan, and really appreciate the opportunities I've had to serve both on the public side and now the private side, but supporting really critical infrastructure that whether you know it or not, we rely on every single day. So this is a picture of our Council Bluffs data center, the mural we had commissioned. That was under Governor Branstad. He was there for the unveiling along with Eric Schmidt. And hopefully if you've been to the Iowa State Fair, you saw some of those banners right down Grand. But happy to keep this as interactive, or if folks have questions, but we'll certainly leave some at the end as well. Let's see if it works. It does work. So thank you for coming and listening to me. You could have just done this today. Hopefully after I'm done, you don't have to. But yes, obviously Google search, the kind of marquee service that we provide. There's millions of Google searches every single minute, which means there's trillions a year, and that can only take place in what we understand as the cloud, which is a physical infrastructure where we house the computers and people that make that possible. Similarly, YouTube, I'm sure we joke half the data center is reserved for cat videos, but there's about 1 billion hours a day in YouTube videos, which to put in perspective is 100,000 years. And so as those videos get more dense in 4K and VR and all of that, to save each and every one of you from having your own server in your basement, we consolidate them at our data centers. Obviously, those are just two things. That's in addition to some of you may have used Google Maps on the way here. Smart people may have an Android phone. Just kidding. But we have Google Drive, Workspace, all of that. Again, everything we do at our company is enabled by our data centers. So they really are the heart of the company. And our company mission is to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible. That's what we've done for going on a quarter century, and that is only possible through the efficient design and operation of these facilities. It's very difficult to get into one of our facilities. About 1% of Google employees will see a data hall floor. So this is the best I can do today. But this is generally what you would see when you go in. Rows and rows of computers operating on different parts of those platforms and maintained in a 24/7 environment. We'll get into later the types of jobs, but there's a variety of jobs to not only make these servers work, but all of the infrastructure on our entire campus that facilitates these absolutely sustained 24/7 operations. I was worried, I did this in Google Slides, I was worried the PowerPoint conversion might. But essentially we have 6 different layers of security to get on that data center floor, including iris scans, manned security checkpoints, one in, one out, tubes, all of that. So we take the data there very, very seriously and ensure it only leaves by wire. We have 26 data centers across the world that handles over 1/5 of all the internet traffic globally. And again, must operate flawlessly 24/7. And one of our largest in the world is in Council Bluffs, Iowa. So to give that a little perspective, you can see there, obviously we're an American company and emphasize our infrastructure investments domestically, but latency-wise and customers we serve around the world, over 4 billion essentially are scattered on that map there. Council Bluffs, Iowa is one of our largest and one of our oldest, and we actually have another one in Papillion, just about 20 minutes away, a suburb of Omaha, and we anticipate a facility in Omaha going live online later this year. People often ask why Iowa, you're going to build these facilities. There's Iowa has like a confluence of a lot of these topics that make it an ideal place for these multi-billion-dollar investments. One is access to reliable and renewable energy. All of these facilities are offset by 100% renewable energy. So our utility partners, Mid-Am and Iowa's commitment to clean energy was a huge driver in building here. We have a business-friendly climate. I think It's sometimes lost on folks that the data center industry is really the only one that requires hundreds of millions of dollars of capital reinvestment every 36 to 60 months. Roughly the same frequency with which you would upgrade your cell phone because it's getting slow, or your laptop. Every single computer, every single server needs replaced. And then the new ones need provision, and they get changed. And so having a business-friendly climate that facilitates that continual reinvestment is very, very helpful. Obviously, we have a world-class infrastructure here. We have a reliable grid. We have great roads and fiber networks. And then really the real secret sauce is the partnership between all these different layers of government that make these really complicated projects proceed with a degree of certainty. So obviously our partners in the city of Council Bluffs and Potawatomi County, and at the state level through too, with leadership of the governor and Director Durham, who was just here a couple weeks ago. We had a few of those partners out in August when we announced a $350 million expansion. We had Senator Ernst and Lieutenant Governor Gregg there as we announced additional buildings. So one of our biggest sites in the world is getting bigger. This $350 million investment adds to our over $5 billion total since we announced here first in 2007. I was excited too as a part of this. We're partnering with the Advanced Southwest Iowa Corporation and provided the seed funding for a Southwest Iowa Entrepreneurship Center, where we'll be able to leverage our services and our platforms for the benefit of students and entrepreneurs in Southwest Iowa. Just at a glance, these are some of the big numbers since 2007, but there's that 5 billion figure. We've provided millions in community support across the state of Iowa specifically. Our employees are actively encouraged to volunteer, and when they volunteer, the company provides $10 an hour per employee. So we've done thousands of hours of volunteer time, and we're pushing about 1,000 people required to operate this facility 24/7. That does not include the construction side, which is operated in virtual perpetuity since 2007 and averages about 1,000 construction workers. So obviously our investment, that $5 billion right there in the middle, Google data center, has ripple effects across the local and larger economies. Our partners with utilities and retailers and warehousing and renewable energy and the restaurants and the hotels and all the things that are required to make these facilities run. Another consideration of where we put a data center is where would the best and brightest want to live and work and raise their families. And so the quality of life we enjoy in Iowa, the commitment to education, that's very helpful as well. So recently the U.S. Chamber estimated that these facilities add over $32 million in local economic activity because of those ancillary services. I think it's for every dollar invested, it was a $6 multiplier elsewhere in the local economy. I encourage you, we have economic impacts for the states where we operate. This is Google generally, not specific to the data center itself, but we've worked with thousands of businesses and provide millions in free advertising, and worked with dozens or thousands of nonprofits to help upskill and retool and make sure that the services we provide are providing further economic catalyst. We were just talking about, as this state has now a renewed commitment to broadband deployment, Starlink, all the demand for these services, the ability to live in a community in Iowa and rely on the internet and our services to build your business or raise your family. That's all powered largely through our free options of tooling and our ad services. Just to get into the jobs a little bit, like I said, it's about 1,000 jobs for our Council Bluffs facility specifically, and we focus on the high quality jobs and hiring locally. I think one interesting fact too is about 30% of our data center workforce are veterans. Figure if you can handle a nuke sub somewhere in the Pacific, you can handle Server Row and Council Bluffs, but we have an incredible culture there. So we have the construction side I mentioned. They obviously help build new buildings, but also retrofit and modernize the ones that exist. Our kind of main teams in a data center, you can think of kind of two buckets. One is the kind of server operations, what you would think, break fix. We have enough servers in Council Bluffs that we're fixing over 1,100 a day, and those need to be done by skilled, trained professionals. Then we have the facilities folks that essentially maintain the really elaborate and intricate air, water, and electrical systems that allow the servers to function. We've been able, through a series of innovations, to have the lowest PUE, it's called the power utilization effectiveness ratio in the industry, because we can largely use outside air on a day like today to cool the servers. With the absence of what, maybe in the 90s traditionally, you just put the servers in an air-conditioned room and turn it to 60 and call it good. Not a very efficient way to keep the servers cool from the heat that they create from their computations. And then on a day like today, we can actually recirculate that hot air into our administrative spaces. Conversely, we've worked to design the servers so that they can operate in very high temperatures, so the cooling necessary is essentially for human comfort. They can operate pretty consistently between 80 and 90 degrees, and so we kind of cap it there so that our employees are comfortable in August. But days like today, it's very temperate and very nice. But obviously we have a robust security team, we have on-site culinary team, we partner with local schools, the community college and culinary institutes and urban gardens on that. We have anything you would need to maintain hundreds and hundreds of acres of the most advanced physical infrastructure in the world. You also have people like me that do these events. So. I will refer to my notes here, but I did ask to get a little bit from our fiber team, which is rapidly deploying across central Iowa and in Council Bluffs. So Google Fiber is an infrastructure company inside of Alphabet that delivers high-speed internet through fiber optic cables. It's built from the ground up. There are no data caps, there's no annual contract, there's no cancellation fees. We like to envision it as internet should be. You don't have to get Animal Planet to get this. It's just internet. This is where Google Fiber has been deployed so far across the country. You can see Iowa, Des Moines, and West Des Moines, and Council Bluffs is next. We anticipate this build out to continue in the Des Moines area for at least the next 4 years, and are hopeful that continuous expansion to all of the suburbs is in the future, but we will take it a city at a time. It launched over 10 years ago, a gig. Everybody said, what do you need a gig for? It was $70, and that price has never raised. And we are now in select markets moving towards 5 and 8 gig a month service, again, with no data caps. And like I spoke to, 10 years ago, videos were lower resolution, phones, video conferencing, as the need for that data exchange, that instantaneous data exchange from personal devices and phones and businesses and all that. The need for higher bandwidth is going to increase, and the need for capacity in our data centers is going to increase. Google Fiber specifically is driven by a mission of digital equity, and so they've been able to partner with a lot of groups here in central Iowa. Some partnerships include training and device programs for the Shalom Community Impact Center, funded a STEM lab at Western Hills Elementary in West Des Moines, worked with Boys and Girls Club and Des Moines Public Schools to provide that digital literacy, and recently had a Des Moines area nonprofit selected for our National Digital Inclusion Fellowship. And so that was the Shalom Center, and as our footprint grows in central Iowa, look forward to more of that. Some of those services I had mentioned are Grow with Google, so it's free small business trainings, it's free advertisements for nonprofits, it's leveraging those properties that exist to help enhance the mission of a nonprofit, and obviously love to focus on nonprofits in and around our facilities where our employees are living and working and contributing to the vitality of those communities. So down left there, you'll see Governor Reynolds, when we announced now a couple of years ago, 2 separate $50,000 career certificate programs with Youth Genesis and La Cruz, and just to the right was earlier this year with Congressman Nunn, as we hosted a small business training for small businesses in Ottumwa. A ton of resources here. It's a great way to get a credential and help your employees or yourself become more desirable, whether as a candidate, whether it's self-directed or for a larger entity. So I'd certainly encourage you to check out Grow with Google. So these are the career certificates that I had mentioned. These are the Google industry leading career certifications that can help. There's a wide variety of from cybersecurity to website design and all of these things. And so we've partnered with DMAC and Iowa Western Community College and many others to make those as readily accessible as possible. There's a few classes in both those institutions I mentioned where we've worked with them to align the curriculum, so by doing the 3 hours and participating, as a student de facto receives this credentialing. So on my side, back to the data centers, investing in communities beyond our kind of capital investment is really critical to what we do. We focus on these kind of 6 areas. We have sustainability, health and science, arts and culture. I got notes somewhere, but the digital divide, workforce development, and economic opportunity. So all of these things, I think policymakers and folks across the country at a really local level are finding ways to be collaborative and address these for the benefits of their citizenry, and we want to be a part of that conversation as well. This is just what I had pulled together for what we've done in Iowa recently. One of the first things we did when we came to Council Bluffs, we provided Chromebooks and provisioned them for all of the Council Bluffs students, and realized very, very quickly that those laptops did not have the connectivity they needed for the students to be successful outside the walls of the school. So since then, over the last decade, we've contributed over $1 million to what they call Blink. It's not a typo, Bluffs Link. And so it's one of the largest free public Wi-Fi systems in the entire country. And so we did that in partnership with the school district and with the Iowa West Foundation, and that system continues to grow. And there was never a more bold exclamation point than COVID, when all those students got sent home, and I think to 98% of their students had their school-issued laptop and a reliable free internet connection to ensure the learning could continue. In addition to that, we have an annual grant program that we solicit applications annually, and our site team helps determine those. That program alone has exceeded millions of dollars in the area. There's an emphasis on those small business trainings, our STEM and skilled trades, the 2 sides of it. On the construction side, we partner with community colleges for what we call the STAR program, skilled trades and readiness. We take young adults, we pay them for their time, for their classroom instruction. They're given on-site work opportunities on our project with our general contractor, and at the conclusion of that 8-week program are offered full-time employment with one of the subcontractors on our site, focusing on underrepresented groups and women who aren't generally represented throughout the construction industry. And that culminates with essentially a graduation ceremony that provides their first toolkit and work boots, and can begin a career in the trade. Some of the testimonials of that, as you can imagine, are pretty powerful. We had folks parking cars or finding out that they were expecting a child with no real path forward on sustained multi-decade employment. It's funny, the construction jobs are always kind of poo-pooed as temporary, but 15 years is about 3 times as long as any job I've ever had. So it is interesting to watch. But I won't belabor all of this, but we've had a ton of awesome statewide partnerships as well, including the Governor's STEM Council, the Iowa Nutrient Research Council, INREC, for working with Iowa State to develop an app to be on the forefront of what is becoming an increasingly technologically focused kind of agriculture industry. We partnered with Food Bank of Iowa and Heartland Food Bank to cover the entire state. Obviously participate with our employees. That top right little our view, Google makes big investment for our community, is a point of personal pride. That was an unsolicited op-ed from the local Council Bluffs paper. It's not often through their own volition local media will take a moment to acknowledge kind of the intrinsic and sustained investment and commitment that we have to a community. And so appreciated that. That was kind of on the heels of our $350 million expansion from earlier this year. Don't know how I'm doing on time, but
Good.
Okay, well then perfect. We did it, and I would be happy to take any questions, but leave you with a quote from our CEO that it's really through technology. That is the great equalizer, and it's what all of us do at Google every day, is to increase that connectivity and opportunity. So I appreciate the chance to share some of that with you all today, to the extent I can. Happy to answer any questions. Yes, it is. It is difficult to say. You know, a top of mind example would be, you know, this very quickly emerging field of artificial intelligence or AI. It's really come into the public lexicon pretty recently, but it's not that new. I mean, your predictive text on Google when you start to type something, or on your phone, that's technically AI virtual assistants, Alexa, some of these photo editing tools and things. And so I think the big question mark is going to be how society kind of leverages that, not to replace human input, but to maximize it. If folks are interested on that topic, I'd recommend looking into Google's DeepMind. It was called AlphaFold. Through AI in 2016, they were able to map over, I think it was 200 million known proteins. And so one of these proteins and their anatomical structure could be decades of doctoral research. And through this platform now, all of those are immediately accessible to accelerate research from the smartest people who can rely on the computations for the modeling. And so when we think about that in the way of flood forecasting or wildfires, or the ways that we're going to be able to leverage information to make more informed decisions, I think that's going to be a huge burgeoning. But I think that will create jobs that we don't even know that exist, and they will be well-paying jobs. You know, I think when the internet came out, the first time you heard about it, I don't understand. I can buy stuff online. Is it a virtual shopping center? Do I go down the, just how the user interface of all of this is going to evolve very, very quickly. And again, to the data centers, instead of having your own computational model, if you're a cloud customer and you have all of your employee information and documents, a company like ours can leverage these language learning models on your behalf, and can take on the capacity for customers. So small businesses don't need to rely on maintaining this infrastructure for themselves. So I think that's kind of where it's going to go. I mean, self-driving cars will only be possible through this. That will need constant communication with facilities like these, and so I think the future is very, very bright, but it's tough to say with any specificity.
So you mentioned AI and the cloud. So what impact does that have on the demand for data centers? Are they going to just grow exponentially?
Yes, both. So that was really what we said. When we were asked, why are you investing another $350 million in Iowa? Our answer was, our growing cloud business and AI demand is necessitating this reinvestment. You can think of AI really basically. Hold on, my depth here, but you can think of it really basically as like the ability to plan, predict, and problem solve. So even if you screw around with ChatGPT or Bard or any of that, it's kind of got the memory of a goldfish. So these computations of historically, having the data and running the computations and building giant models for a specific purpose to predict, plan, and problem solve is going to increase the computational power. I think ChatGPT was essentially piloted here with the Microsoft facilities. We obviously have a large Apple facility in Milwaukee, and Altoona's Meta Facebook facility is its largest operational site in the world. And so the iterations of that technology and demand generally, I think a place like Iowa with the proliferation of these facilities is going to see a real boon, because I can tell you actuarially, these companies greatly prefer to expand where they already are than with known partners than kind of started over in a new market. So I do think the future's bright.
Medical data is huge now, and trying to communicate it between all the different systems that are involved is terrible. And so that much information and it not being able to be communicated and trying to get the essential information at the essential times needed is a huge challenge. Can you tell us more about what's being done on that front?
Well, yeah, kind of to elaborate on that it won't replace people power, but will make people more efficient. Some of the earliest adopters of AI are doctors and medical professionals who will tell you in any survey that the worst part of their job is sitting over a computer and crunching in the numbers and referencing a patient's medical history and trying to remember from school or a document what that could intersect with. And you can see all of that short-circuited through these computational models, and use a huge body of evidence rather than just a hospital or a network, and help drive better health outcomes. And you compound that with the ability for them to look at the more systemic issues like environmental health or global warming or whatever it might be. I think that will be the most emerging place for some of these solutions. You know, we're part of a, I think, coalition of 7 companies with the Biden administration to work through these. You can look at, I think it's called the President's AI Task Force, but you know, the President's made the right move to involve industry and ensure that, you know, the good actors of these facilities are maximized and the potential for bad and the bad actors are minimized through collaboration from both sides. And so I think educating policymakers, just last night the Technology Association of Iowa had their annual legislative reception. They had a forum on AI. It was medical. It was Wells Blue Bunny talking about how they're going to use it, and you can see every industry the light bulb go off about how it can be used. And at the end of the day, that'll be, you know, individual intuition and ingenuity that drives that along, but it will not move at all unless there are large infrastructure facilities, the cloud, right here in Council Bluffs, making it possible and providing that data that can be relied upon.
I hadn't really ever thought of it. I know data centers use a ton of water to
Yes.
stay cool, but I hadn't really thought of it until you were talking that essentially a data center's waste is energy. Has there been any research that's gone into capturing said energy?
Yes, so these servers, when they compute, just like your phone or your computer, if you're on it a lot, it gets hot. It's you using electricity and it's making computations, and it gets hot. So to cool that is necessarily some gradient of water and energy. Now, Google last year, I think, used over 4 billion gallons of water globally. It sounds like a lot, but it's the equivalent of 29 well-maintained golf courses in Arizona. So it's important to keep some of that in perspective. But that is a consideration. So we have a facility we're building in Arizona that actually will not use water. It will be cooled. We're pioneering liquid cooling of water that will flow through essentially tubing in the electronics and transfer the heat that way. But yes, I mean, and so any of these facilities, and it'd be the same for large agriculture or manufacturing, but finite resources for energy, land, and water. And so on the waterfront, Google's committed to actually restoring 120% of its global use by 2030. We're working with some partners here in Iowa. Hope to announce soon that some of those projects will be here. On the energy front, everything that we do is offset by 100% renewable energy. So that's energy that's added to the grid where the data center is, whether that's solar or wind or sometimes hydroelectric. But yeah, capturing that. Meta had a good example in Europe where actually the heat from the servers are captured underground and redistributed to a portion of the town. So some homeowners and businesses were obviously benefited, but I think, again, that's the unique side and something I'm privileged on, to understand the priorities of both the public and private sector, and sometimes the speed with which the private sector can move, and then the data that the public side has, like how we can collaboratively approach these topics. Every site's different, every community's different, every need's different, but again, having those honest conversations and partnerships in Iowa is one part why the largest in the world keeps getting bigger.
The cybersecurity of the data centers, I know you can't go into detail about that for obvious reasons, but also I saw that you had a data center in Taiwan. And God forbid that China decides, well, we want Taiwan back under our regime. What happens to a data center? Is there a contingency plan to say, okay, we can scrub this thing and move all this data someplace else, so if they come in, there's nothing there?
Yes, so that general premise makes some markets completely inaccessible. Some countries say if you have a data center, your data is our data. That's not where Google or any kind of reputable company would build. And some of that geographic dispersion is because of local laws. I think particularly like even the European Union, that data across subsea cables, there's certain, either sometimes it's biometric or something. So sometimes those facilities are fairly insular and like are for a particular country or a geographic subset. But I can assure you, I've been on the Council Bluffs Data Hall floor. That was harrowing enough. Well, more so than when I worked at Capitol, but yeah, some of the smartest people in the world are working on those contingencies. In addition to supply chain issues, COVID was a great example. You had all this immediate demand for these services, and you had essentially a bottlenecked supply chain, and so it was great to see the CHIPS Act passed, and we're onshoring some of that domestic production of chips and servers. I think in a way, these graphical or these processing units are going to be what steel was as far as the national security and the need to keep that in-house. So where we build and the capabilities there are impacted a lot by geopolitical forces. I can assure you it's top of mind.
It would seem to me that a major concern has to be the physical protection of all of these data centers. So you have a lot of physical property out there with very sensitive equipment in it. I know you're not going to tell us exactly how you do this, but what goes into the thinking of how to protect from domestic or international enemies of the company and maybe the country, how you protect these physically?
I mean, it's not dissimilar, frankly, to a nuclear facility. I mean, we have 6 layers of security, including physical perimeters, cameras, 24/7 armed. I shouldn't say armed, security. We obviously have a badging system. We have retinal scanners to get on the floor. We have those individual one-way doors, those tubes to get in. We have metal detectors. We have personnel at those to actually wand. We actually do tests. So we encourage in a very specific way, but our employees, the ones who've been there a long time and are friends with the security folks, to try and break protocol, tape a hard drive to a back of a computer or something, and audit ourselves. And so that physical security piece is obviously important for a lot of industries, but it's one that we have invested an incredible amount of time and money into.
What about air?
What about it?
Air. Well, just all of a sudden I was listening to you, not to be alarmist, but thinking, oh my gosh, are we a target? Just in the sense of when you take down a facility like a data center, you have backups, I assume. So there's contingency plans. Is air an unrealistic?
I mean, if air could mean a tornado in Tornado Alley. It could mean
I meant an airstrike.
Oh,
I know that sounds very alarmist. I was just really curious.
I would guess that a government facility might be more of a target. You are right that our data is replicated, and there's a contingency that that's essentially a guarantee we make to our customers, is that you'll never lose. If you trust us to store and process this, you will not lose it. And so kind of what we were talking about, a lot of that replication is geographic. It helps with latency, but frankly, having the kind of Council Bluffs facility, Omaha, and then Papillion, and then Lincoln kind of down that stretch, that's a really outsized role in our global infrastructure. But all those teams work in concert on security and an operation level to ensure that, God forbid, whether there's a strike or a natural disaster, that there are plans in place and that data will be safe.
Great.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's just fantastic. Matt and I were reminiscing. We used to actually share a common wall in the federal building downtown a few years back in past lives. So good to have you here. What information. So Matt, always thank you for being so informed and sharing this information with us. And as a token of our appreciation, we've donated a book in your honor to the Des Moines Public Library. Your book will become part of the Rotary Rosie Reader Van collection. And the van is possible from a donation our club made of $40,000 to the Des Moines Public Library Foundation back in 2020. So thank you again. We have fun things scheduled coming up over the next couple of months, as always. Second Chance Tuesday, February 13th at Big Grove. The fun and fellowship are free, and the drinks and food are at your own expense. And then we've got our February Fling, hosted by Club President-elect Kevin Kassir, Friday, February 16th. The deadline to sign up is the end of this month, so next week, sign up. And we want to thank our sponsors, Third Ag, and our anonymous sponsor for helping us with this annual event. February 23rd again, Polio Plus Night at the Iowa Wolves. If you can be there or help support a student or youth ticket, that would be great. Upcoming speakers next week, we're going to have Max Wellman here, co-owner of Noche, a wonderful musician, locally well-known gentleman. February 8th, Peter Tian and past District Governor John Ockenfels. Those are the two pilots that took a single-engine plane around the world and polio, and raised buku bucks doing that on behalf of Rotary and polio eradication. And then on the 15th of February, we will not be meeting here because we all want to be attending the February fling on that Friday night. So I want to thank you as always for being here and being such a vital part of making the Rotary Club of Des Moines the wonderful organization that we are. Until we meet again, let's get out there and have some fun and do good in the name of Rotary. We are adjourned.